Welcome back to some more Watanagashi. So, where we last left off, walking on the way home from school as usual. So let's continue reading. It was the same relaxing walk home as always. Digging around my pocket on a whim, I noticed something that should have been there was missing. What's the matter, Kei-chan? The key to my house I always carry around is gone. Great. Man, where did I lose it? It's fine today since my parents are home, but still, this is bad. Well, mistakes happen. I think I remember I lost my house key about a few times before, even though it's like I left it inside the house as usual. But still, this is bad. That sure is troublesome. Did you forget it somewhere? Or did you drop it? Which one was it? Did I take it with me this morning in the first place? Huh? Kei-chan, did that key have anything that would make it stand out? Yeah, it's on the keychain. It was a blue fur seal, something I made for summer homework a long time ago. Huh? Does it have its eyes shut like it's taking a nap? Oh, how did you know? Yeah, that's it. Mion looked away and began to whistle. See. You went for dinner at Angel Mort a couple of days ago, right? That night the staff found a key, and there was a fur seal keychain attached to it. As she said that, she suddenly grew flustered, and added that Shion had told her about it. Huh? So I dropped it then. But aren't you glad they found it? I'm sure they're looking after it for you. Well, you should go to the restaurant right away. That's right. Why don't you go? Shion looks the same to me, so you'll know her by sight. This was a rather unexpected development. Once again, I had no choice but to go and meet with Shion. But I also had to thank her for the bento from yesterday. Besides, taking some time and chatting with this other side of Mion might be interesting. Half-jokingly, I began to think about things like this. Right. Angel Mort, was it? I'll head over to Shion's restaurant and get my key back. While I'm at it, having a nice spot of tea might not be a bad idea. You sound like an English gentleman. That totally doesn't suit you, Kei-chan. Great. Isn't that amazing? Is this the restaurant? The one that Mi-chan's little sister's working at? Yeah, why don't we go together, Reina? Sorry to disappoint you, but I have plans with my father today. Some other time. Reina seemed pretty disappointed about having to miss such a great opportunity. I know, right? She's missing out all the fun. It's like a little warming party going on there. I don't think it's a warming party, but whatever. You said they're twins, but do they really look that much alike? Enough to mistake which is which. Yeah, they're totally the same. At least on the outside. Unlike Mion, she's well-mannered and really cute, though. In response to my teasing, Mion pouted and began to argue with me. Oh boy. I couldn't help but burst out laughing at Mion's little farce. After all, they weren't just identical, they were the same person. I don't know, that really depends, actually. Oh man. Take a little sip. After going home, I changed my clothes and dug my bike out of the garage. Just thinking that I would be able to meet Shion again gave me a mysterious feeling. It is a great feeling, though. Shion, a name for a different kind of Mion. She was a mysterious and ridiculous person, believing she had fooled everyone like that. I noticed that I was pedaling along quite happily. Could it be that I was looking forward to meeting Shion? Could be. I felt a sense of giddy anticipation, like I was headed towards a new friend's house for the first time. What Reina said about me and Ashley being really feminine sprang to mind once again. The guilt from spying on another side of Mion, the self-consciousness from being the only one that knew about that side, these feelings mixed together. That was Shion for you, Mion's little twin sister. Until she felt like coming out and admitting she was Mion. It was fine to just call her Shion, right? Mion might be trying to have some fun by acting out a different persona. Ain't that nice? As I reached the top of the steep hill, the horizon expanded before me. I was almost at the station. The last time I wasn't embarrassed since I was here with Dad, but this time I was alone. I was strangely self-conscious about it. Meet Shion. Get my key back. That was all this task was supposed to be. If I dawdled around like this, maybe Shion would find me before she headed in for work. Hey, what are you doing, Keiichi Maibara? You're just here to get your key back, you know? It's not like you're some love-struck schoolboy here to hand over a love letter. Sure you are. The thoughts inside my head were slowly turning into a jumbled mess. I came to the realization that I was downright giddy. That's why, for just a bit, just a tiny little bit, I got a little carried away and did something really stupid. Why ain't this something? What did he do this time? I kicked over a parked motorcycle that was blocking the sidewalk. It was in the way, sure, but there was absolutely no need for me to kick it. I definitely think I got too carried away. Thunk, clack. Crash. As the three bikes toppled one after another like dominoes, the loud noise they caused snapped me back to my senses. Oh, The hell do you think you're doing? The owners of those three bikes were right there. They looked exactly like what you call thugs up to no good. They lifted their heads up in an imposing manner and yelled angrily in a way I had never heard before. The three of them beelined towards me, the worn-down heels of their thin-soled shoes slapping noisily against the pavement. I could only stare listlessly, as if I were watching some far-off event that didn't concern me at all. By the time I realized it, I had been grabbed by the collar and lifted onto my tiptoes. Don't be playing dumb. You knocked him over, did ya? Did you, huh? The three thugs were completely ignoring the rules of grammar, but the way they spoke was enough to make me tremble. Just like that, my composure drained away. My legs buckled and my throat grew dry enough to crack. I'm sorry, I accidentally. Accident my ass. You kicked it, didn't you, dumbass? I was completely at fault, so there was nothing I could say in my defense. As a result, I was pulled even higher. The hell, man. The paint's all scuffed. Yo, Brad, who put you up to this, eh? This is your goddamn fault. The three of them continued to yell at me. I had no idea what each of them were saying. And their grammar is shit. Getting further enraged that I was only listening while dumbstruck, they grabbed an empty plastic crate from a nearby store and began to smash it repeatedly against the telephone pole. Cracks formed in the crate, plastic shards flying everywhere. They then slammed it full force into the shuttered storefront. Smash! The shutter let out a frighteningly loud noise. Still not satisfied, they flipped over a case of empty cans, scattering its contents all over the place. This was not normal. It was something you saw often on television or in manga, but I never thought seeing it in person would be this terrifying. I became painfully aware that the safety of civilized society was only held up by such a frail concept as morals. My knees clattered together noisily. Static began to pepper my vision. This is what you would call absolute terror. There was nothing I could do to stop this frightening spectacle of violence. I could only pray for help. The fear I felt was just too much. Would somebody help me? My gaze floundered about the surrounding area. I was surrounded by these three hoodlums. No way would there be a passerby brave enough to intervene. Maybe this was what you call reaping what you sow. If I were a passerby, there would be no doubt that I ignored what was going on. So this was somewhat of a cosmic retribution. Fucking say something. I fucking stab you. Angry yelling loud enough to rattle my eardrums spewed forth right in front of my face. My waning consciousness was forcefully dragged back to the forefront. The thug had cocked back his free hand and twisted his body. Then, when suddenly a metallic taste filtered through the back of my throat. A chill ran down my spine like a jolt of electricity. Seeing what was going to happen next, I squeezed my eyes shut as tightly as possible and grit my teeth. Oh boy. You're making quite the racket, you stupid pieces of trash. Get out of my sight. That voice was a short distance away. Still holding me by the collar, the three thugs spun around to look behind them. Oh look, it's Shion. The fuck you say? Standing there was Shion. I mean, Mion. She stood... Man, this guy got confused as usual. She stood there displaying an imposing stature that I'd never seen before. She didn't have the same look on her face as she did when we were playing around during club. Those were the eyes that would instill fear in anyone who looked upon them, the eyes of a raptor. They were the epitome of terror. At the same time, they were the most reassuring things in the world. I'll only say this one more time. Let go of Kei-chan and get lost. Mion, without an ounce of fear, laid down her ultimatum. Of course, there was no way those three wouldn't go absolutely berserk. Yeah. The situation instantly turned explosively dangerous. You fucking bitch. I'll fucking bash your head in. Stop it, Mion. These guys are like rabid dogs. No amount of bluffing will work. Mion, it's dangerous. So run. I knew what I was saying was pathetic, but I couldn't let Mion get involved in this. No matter how you looked at it, Mion was only bluffing. But did Mion even know the meaning of the word bluff? However, the reason behind everything soon became apparent. They were slowly increasing in number, little by little. At first it was only businessmen on their way home stopping to take a look. Then it was housewives in the middle of shopping taking a gander. Next what seemed like the owner of some store showed up, and it was pretty clear he wasn't just looking. Around Mion, there was already about 7 people gathered. It felt different than people coming out to support a friend. If I had to say why, it was because the group that gathered was diverse in age and gender. The 3 thugs seemed to slowly realize that there was something strange about the situation. What the hell are these guys? Behind them, at some point, 4 more people of differing clothes and ages had gathered. A girl who looked to be in middle school, a man wearing a bakery apron, an old lady in a house cleaning smock. More and more people of various ages. Their gazes, comparable to Mion's, were of hostility, of intimidation. Before I realized it, over 10 people had formed a ring around us. At that moment, 5 elementary schoolers ran in and joined the circle. There were some familiar faces, some of our classmates. Then these people were residents of Hinamizawa? More and more people from Hinamizawa gathered around. In obvious contrast, the residents of Okonomiya were passing by as quickly as possible. Fuck are you guys? Get the fuck away. The group surrounding us had suddenly swelled to around 20 people. Completely encircled, the faces of the thugs began to show the first signs of panic. Depends, is the thugs are gonna die? Nobody spoke a word, Mion included. That made everything completely unnatural and, depending on which side you were on, completely terrifying. Only the thugs' voices echoed out like they were screaming. Somebody took a step forward, closing the gap between them. As they did, everybody else took a step forward, shrinking the circle. The hoodlums went pale as they were pushed together. back to back while still yelling angrily. They were trying to string together vulgar, whatever that word is, vulgarities, but for some reason it sounded like they were crying out for help. Alright, what's going on here? What's going on? It was sudden. A solidly built officer cut his way through the crowd. At some point, 2 police cars had arrived. Some passerby had undoubtedly called for them. Several burly officers appeared from inside the second vehicle. "Oh, officer, good timing. Here you go. The extortionist. Caught red-handed. Please arrest him." The fuck? This brat's the one that's wrong here. You didn't do shit. You deserve a bullet in your fucking head. Mion, returning to her usual self, was nonchalantly pointing out the hoodlums to the police. Of course, the thugs were furious. But now that it had come to this, there was nothing they could do. It was their loss. Okay. Come over here for a sec. Come on already. The officers handcuffed the thugs and dragged them towards the patrol cars. Good. The fuck? Let me go. Where are the victims here? Are you listening, damn it? No matter how much of a ruckus they caused, the police officers paid no heed. In the blink of an eye, they were crammed inside the 2 vehicles. Good. I hope you rot in jail, you bastard. I'm being too evil. I can't help it. When it comes to me with anger issues, I just cannot handle assholes. They could still be heard yelling while inside the police cars, but what they were saying was no longer intelligible. Yeah, these 3 thugs are fucking retards. Are you alright? Are you injured? He was probably a detective. Oh, it's the guy I already know. The man leading the police peered at my face. No, not really. Oh, that's a bit of a silver lining then. Well then, have a good year. The portly man, after taking a quick look around, addressed the crowd. Thank you, citizens, for your timely report. Thanks to your efforts, we were able to keep the peace today. It's a wonderful thing. Thank you for your hard work, Detective Oishi. Ah, it's the same. Of course, it's the same guy from the last game. As a citizen, I thank you for your daily efforts. It's an honor for a detective from the 1st Division to come out all this way. The way Shion talked didn't have a very pleasant tone. It was a coincidence. I happened to hear the call over the radio on my way back from the prefectural office. I just made a little detour. Please keep up the good work. I pray for success in your future endeavors. Ah, shucks. It's a good thing there were no injuries, though. Oishi-san, we're done here. Let's go. Well then, have a good year. I'm sorry, could you make way? The detective named Oishi, after jovially making pleasantries, lumbered over to the waiting police car. It quickly set off, disappearing down the city street. It was over so quickly. So quickly I was dumbstruck. I didn't even get to ask the officer what was going on. It was like they came here quickly to disperse the mob before any trouble could start. After making sure the police cars had left, Mion snapped her fingers sharply. Alright, that's a wrap. And don't come back. That was the signal. The tension melted away in an instant as everybody began smiling. A middle-aged man helped me up. Are you okay, young Maibara? Next time, pick your fights a bit better. It's not like I wanted to fight. Are you hurt anywhere? If you hit your head, it would be a good idea to get an x-ray taken. You know, I think Maibara needs to grow a bigger pair. I'm sorry. An older lady I didn't know the name of was concerned about my injury. You were lucky this happened right in front of the station when it was busy, otherwise we wouldn't have been able to gather as many people. Next time, be more careful. City kids these days are pretty unruly. Grumble. I was even warned by the old lady in the smock. As Shion finished applauding to the dispersing group for their efforts, she strode over to me. Well, you're pretty good, Kei-chan. But I also think you should be more careful about who you pick a fight with. Thanks, Mion. You saved my bacon there. Like I said, I'm Shion. She made a troubled expression as she turned her gaze downward, blushing in embarrassment. I heard from my sister. That fur seal keychain was yours, right, Kei-chan? Oh, yeah, that's right. I was just heading to the restaurant. And you ended up feeling so excited that you got mixed up in something weird? Now it was my turn for my face to go red. I didn't want to admit that she was spot on. Well, I was just unlucky. But you really saved me, Shion. You don't have to thank me. So, if you see somebody else getting bullied, help them out, okay? We value that kind of thing very highly here. I was well versed in that sense of camaraderie. But the way I was rescued just now, something seemed a little off about that. While I was helped out, it was honestly to an almost disturbing degree. You're coming into the restaurant, right? You must be tired, so why don't you relax for a bit? My treat. Seems that she caught the glimmer of suspicion in my eyes. Without waiting for my answer, Shion began walking. Oh, beautiful. Great. I'm loving this so far. A little date going on. Perfect shipping. Alright, so we're in the restaurant. After cooling off a bit inside the restaurant, little by little I realized I was still on edge. There were spots here and there on my body that hurt, probably because I had been so stiff with nervousness. Shion, who had changed into her uniform, brought over 2 glasses of iced coffee. Here you go, iced coffee on the house. Just bring this coupon with you to the register and it'll be no charge. My patheticness really knew no bounds. But since she went through the trouble, I might as well take her up on the offer. Even though it started out as such a lovely day, I had to get carried away and do that stupid thing. I had completely ruined it. But really, you really saved my hide there. I've really come to see you as reliable. Even I was scared, but Kei-chan was in trouble, so I had to be brave and do my best. While a little embarrassed by what she just said, Shion made a show of folding her arms boldly. Shion, really, thank you. I was thanking Shion, but I really wanted to thank Mion. Mion, really, thank you. Now, cheer up a little. If you feel indebted, then when you have the chance, you should help somebody in need. Like, for example, if I'm ever in trouble, please come and save me. Yeah, of course. It's a promise. You absolutely have to. Taking advantage of my words, she seemed happy about my promise. So if I'm ever in trouble, Kei-chan will come and save me. I hope trouble comes soon. You finally smiled, she said as she smiled herself, poking me in the cheek. A downtrodden Kei-chan is as good as an imposter. Come on, smile, smile. That tickles. Stop. Thanks to Shion's meddling, I finally cheered up a little. All the muscles in my body that had stiffened because of the incident finally began to relax a little. When you're in a better mood, don't you get a little hungry? I'm kind of hungry, so I want to eat some pancakes or something. Do you want some too, Kei-chan? I wanted to show a little restraint, but restraint really wasn't my thing. That's why I replied without any. They're good, right? I'm pretty picky when it comes to pancakes. Don't worry. Our pancakes have a pretty good reputation. Shion ordered some pancakes from a nearby waitress. An employee ordering from another employee seems kind of weird. Hey, speaking of that, wasn't Shion in the middle of a shift? She's just been slacking off while talking to me. I told my uncle that you saved me when I was surrounded by hoodlums, so he's rewarding you. So I had the manager's permission. That's exactly the opposite of what happened. Is that alright? It's perfectly fine. By the time the pancakes arrived, we had entered into a relaxed conversation. More like a date, actually. As the two of us ate pancakes, we livened the mood with some chit-chat. About what was on TV, celebrities, that kind of thing. Beautiful. Hobbies, food. Really, nothing more than idle chit-chat. Talking together like this, I once again became conscious of Shion being a girl. Hey now, that's funny talk, Keiji Maibara. Shion and Mion are the same person. Not really. Yeah, right. If there was anything different between them, it was only whether or not Mion admitted she was Mion. But given that, how come our conversation was this different? Hey John, you don't think of my sister as a girl, do you? That's not true. If she were a guy, I'd punch the living daylights out of her. Pfft, that's great. Anyway, moving on. I think the reason you guys get along so well is because you have that kind of platonic relationship. That's a pretty rare and inevitable thing to have, don't you think? I don't get what you're saying, but it really would be a waste to treat her like a girl. Hey, Kei-chan, that's sexist! Oh boy. Hearing the word sexist was cause for introspection. What was I prejudiced against Mion and Shion for? Mion was Mion. She was the best friend a guy could have, no reservations, and head and shoulders above me when it comes to club activities. If I had met her 5 years earlier, my life would have probably been a lot more fun. Of this I have no doubt. Then what about Shion? She was Mion's little sister, and it hadn't even been 3 days since we met. Her relationship was much more distant, as the only thread we had in common was that I knew her sister. And for Shion, it was the same. I was somebody she met 3 days ago only because I was a friend of her sister's. The difference between Mion and Shion? Friendliness? Familiarity? Playing around with those unclear thoughts for a while, I had stopped listening to Shion. Hypothetically, okay? Are you listening? Sorry. Yeah, I'm listening. This is just an hypothetical question, okay? Both me and my sister are in trouble, okay? We're dangling off the side of a cliff. Which one of us do you save? You can only save one. Why can I not save both? That's one great thing, right? She wasn't saying it to tease me, but had a playful tone behind her voice. That's not even a nice question. I want to save you both, but I can't do that, right? Right. You can only save either Shion or Mion. Who do you save? If it were Mion, I don't think she'd be in that situation in the first place, as it's something she could easily get out of herself. But what about the normal Freya or Shion? I guess I'd have no choice. It's not my sister, right? If Mion and Shion were different people, I suppose it would come to that. I couldn't confirm nor deny it. She should have been smiling, but her gaze was locked firmly to mine. In other words, that's it, isn't it? My sister is... Huh. Sorry, I messed up what I was trying to say. Shion was trying to talk in a light-hearted manner, but I felt that there was something more behind her words. Was Mion trying to tell me something through Shion? Not being able to put a finger on exactly what it was. Not being able to put a finger on exactly what it was vexing. Shion, to hide her embarrassment, turned the conversation around. More importantly just now, were you surprised? When everybody kept on showing up. Of course I was. If it were Reina or Satoko, that would have been one thing, but for all those people, young and old together, they were all from Hinamizawa, right? That's correct. Or, yeah, that's right. Everybody in Hinamizawa is pretty close-knit. An enemy of one is the enemy of all. Nobody's going to look on from the sidelines. They're a pretty reliable group of residents. If somebody's being picked on, then everybody unites to get rid of the bully. Kind of sounds like the Mafia or the Yakuza's brand of unity. Of justice, that is. You shouldn't say something like that. It's something you should be thankful for. You were saved by that unity, weren't you? Never forget to show your appreciation. I half-heartedly agreed. Actually, I'm going to agree with her. I knew full well I should be appreciative. Everybody really is close-knit, aren't they? Maybe it's because of tradition? Hinamizawa has been in danger of becoming a ghost town on several occasions. There's been a history of the villagers uniting together each time to fight for the village's continued existence. For example, Kei-chan, did you know about the Hinamizawa Dam project? Hinamizawa Dam project? Let's see. I feel like I've heard somebody talk about it before. I'm sure you do. On the last game. About 10 years ago, there was a sudden proposal to build a dam here, which would have submerged Hinamizawa underwater. Oh, that story. I think I heard my father talk about that. But I'm pretty sure that plan was cancelled, right? We made them cancel it. Everybody banded together. So that was a well-earned victory. That sounded pretty much like the story I heard. The protest intensified to the point where it was featured in newspapers and magazines. As a result, the plan was suspended. The whole story with the dam apparently started before I was born. At first, the proposal was only for exploratory purposes, or a small dam to control erosion. But then the cat was let out of the bag. If it were completed, it would have been the biggest dam in Japan. Not just Hinamizawa, but several villages upstream would have been submerged as well. The protests immediately began. Petitions to cancel or relocate the project were drafted and submitted to the Diet. They even went so far as to go to the Ministry of Construction in Tokyo to hand over a direct appeal to the minister. The previous landowner sued the government, stating there were inconsistencies in the purchase agreement and the transaction should be nullified. Owners of yet unacquired land split their properties, increasing the number of landowners in order to stifle the project. It was all very precious when the land acquisition was still about money. Eventually, they started relying on eminent domain in order to seize land. It started at that point. The riot police began to get violent. Riot police? You mean the police? Why would they act violent? They punched. They kicked. There was a time I was hit. Right around here, I think. My skin split open and a whole lot of blood spilled out. Saying that, Shion indicated her temple by poking at it. What happened to the police? Filing a complaint against the riot police for police brutality would seem kind of strange for some reason. Naturally, they wouldn't pay heed to something like that. You wouldn't be able to establish proof on who exactly hit you. and they could justify their actions by saying you were interfering with police duties. My Nana went off like a firework. After that, it was amazing. Like a full-scale war. We weren't just going to sit by and idly file complaints. We went on the offensive. First, in order to call attention to the government, they filed a temporary injunction in court. Then, in order to gain public support, they called in prominent scientists to state that Hinamizawa was a valuable nature preserve. They pressured the prefectural and municipal assemblies, saying that the prefectural governor ignored his constituents when he approved the project and demanded his resignation. Resign? Should be resignation. They completely and thoroughly denounced him. Naturally, in Hinamizawa, a ferocious conflict worthy of being called the Dam War began. In order to suppress the police's brutality, they coordinated with the network channels and exposed the violence of the riot squad members to the public. On top of that, they put together a special expose themed around the government repressing the citizens and aired it nationally. It worked wonders. Following that, the SWAT teams had their hands cuffed. Day after day, the petitions and demonstrations continued. Propaganda was used to help garner support. The circle of support gradually expanded outwards from Hinamizawa. Either that bore fruit or the government finally decided against it. It was announced that the dam project was indefinitely suspended just a few years ago. We did everything we could. The entire village banded together and fought. At that time we were desperate, but now that it's over, it's actually become a pretty good memory. The villagers' feelings of solidarity and unity still haven't faded. Shion said that as she focused off into the distance. I felt that those eyes weren't filled with anguish, but rather a sense of pride. That kind of solidarity is pretty nice. You don't see it too often. Bridging the generation gap and unifying the region. I think so too. The dam project was a trial. I think that was just the fact we were able to overcome it is huge. The fear I was feeling until just now gradually began to fade. When people began to show up one after another while I was enraged with those thugs, I thought it was frightening. But now I felt from the bottom of my heart that I had been rude. The villagers prepared to defend their homeland to the death. The sense of solidarity that fostered. It might seem impudent to say this, but I was a little jealous. If I had been in Hinamizawa when the protest against the dam was going on, I might have been able to share in that sense of solidarity. Kei-chan, you weren't here at the time, so I don't think you can fully feel the solidarity in the village. But everybody shares it. Thoroughly. Even with somebody who just moved here like you, Kei-chan. She couldn't have been more right. So many people got together to help me out when I just moved here, even though they were strangers whose names I didn't even know. A hot feeling began welling up inside of me. When I lived in the city, I didn't even know my own neighbors. I thought that was natural, but here that was an absurd and pathetic thing. Even though I thought of them as strangers, all the other villagers viewed me as a comrade. Happiness and warmth. I was acutely aware of those feelings as they gradually welled up inside of me. Sonozaki-san, the manager wants you to work the floor. A more senior waitress waved her hand and called out to Shion. It seemed like it was time for work. Ah, okay. I'm coming. Sorry. Looks like I have to get to work now. It's fine. Thanks for hanging out with me. It was fun. Oh, you going home? Yeah. My mom gets fussy if I'm not home by dinner time. It seemed that Shion wanted to say something, but she swallowed her words. Like we hadn't talked enough, that kind of feeling. Looking at that expression, I regretted saying something that had disappointed me like that. I was about to say that I could stay for a little bit longer when Shion got up from her seat. Here, if you use the coupon, it should cover the pancakes as well. Saying that, she showed me the coupon booklet as she tore out a few sheets and handed them to me. Convenient, isn't it? It's a perk I get on top of my salary. It's okay. I can pay for the pancakes myself. Are you sure? Oh, my throat. Hey. Being so reserved doesn't fit you, Kei-chan. If I were my sister, you would have gladly let me pay for it. She said as she laughed, gently stopping me from opening my wallet. Being told so with such an encouraging smile really resounded with me. Sanazaki-san, sorry, could you take care of the register? Ah, yes, right away. Later, today was fun. Saying that, Shion smiled one more time at me. Oh, Mion, thanks a lot for today. I owe you one. If you really think that, then return the favor. I'm looking forward to it. After I said it, I realized I mistakenly called her Mion. Yeah, way to go. I didn't know if she realized it or not. Great. Ain't that another minor mistake, of course. Oh, it's now dark time. Okay, I think I had enough, so I'm just gonna pause it here for now. Save here. Yeah. Let's see how nighttime will go. So, like, comment, and subscribe, and see you guys later. Have a good one.